Money Radio, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us and joining us now. It's a pleasure to welcome back historian and history writer Christopher Kelly. He's the author of America Invades, and he's also written much more. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Sinclair, great to be with you today.
And you have a website as well. I believe it's America Invades?
Yes, we have a couple, AmericaInvades.com, and then there's also ItalyInvades.com, and then the most recent book is called An Adventure in 1914.com as well.
We talked in the past about the book America Invades, and it's really kind of surprising how America has been involved in a military way with almost every country on Earth. I think
right.
The exception was Bhutan or something like that.
That's the three we missed totally, are Andorra, which is between Spain and France in the Pyrenees, Bhutan, which is in Asia, kind of north of India, and the Principality of Liechtenstein, which is near Switzerland and Austria. So those are the three we've missed entirely. They may be, some future president's to-do list, I'm not sure.
Apparently so. Meanwhile, you write a regular annual article about the 4th of July. Tell us a little bit about what you try to bring out in that editorial.
Sure. Well, I talk about, of course, the first conflicts that we had with the Minutemen at Lexington Green and in Concord Bridge in April of 1775. These kind of citizen soldiers that had to confront the British soldiers who were trying to capture a cache of arms that had been collected by the American colonists. And that was the first thing that kind of ignited the beginning of the American Revolution. And
that was the shot heard around the world, right?
Exactly. That's right. The shot heard around the world is exactly what it was. And, I talk about how the American Revolution, how we kind of view it as, because of its, it's patriotic and it's remote in time, that it kind of gets these rosy hues the way we remember it. But in fact, it was this really brutal conflict. There were about 25,000 Americans killed out of a population of 2.4 million. So like 1% of the entire population was killed during the American Revolution, which, when you were to compare that to today, you'd have a death toll of 3 million for a population now of 300 million Americans. So it really was a brutal war, and just something for us to remember as we approach the 4th of July. Did
that set the tone, if you will, for American military and for the nation?
Right. I think in many ways that it did. That, for instance, we had allies to help to win the war. We didn't win the war on our own. We had the French and the Spanish helped, and the Dutch helped financially as well. And that tradition of fighting with allies. It's better to fight with allies than without allies. And, of course, back then and today as well, I think. So that was a tradition that was part of our founding. Also, I think the way we were aggressive. That during that war, we also invaded Canada. I have an ancestor that actually was in the siege of Quebec back in 1776. John Paul Jones raided Whitehaven in England in 1778. So we kind of took the war to the British as well to help to win that war.
And we've gone just about everywhere else since then.
That's right.
Should we be considered now a militaristic nation?
Well, I think that's an interesting word. Militaristic has a definite negative connotation. I would say that we're a nation that's intensely proud of our military, but I wouldn't say that we're militaristic. I think that if liking war for war's sake, to me, is almost the definition of fascism. And I think that we are definitely not a fascist country, that we, opposed fascism, of course, in World War II and communism as well in the 20th century, and that we admire the heroes of our military past. But at the same time, we're reluctant warriors. We're, as a citizen soldiers, we'd rather be, minding our own business. In general, and if we had our choice, we'd rather be doing business and taking care of our private business than getting involved in the world. But of course, sometimes we've had to become involved in the rest of the world.
Even today, we are involved in much of the world and on many different fronts. How would you describe the current situation of the United States?
Well, there are lots of threats and things to be worried about around the globe. I mean, you have ISIS, of course, in the Middle East that continues to be a problem. You have Syrian fighters that were just shot down over this weekend by American Navy planes. You have North Korea that is, threatening to develop ICBMs. I mean, missiles that could actually reach the United States, the continental United States, and with a very unpredictable dictator in charge of that country. So you have threats around the globe, and I think it is, and of course you have terrorism popping up, domestic terrorism as well as foreign terrorism, that it continues to be a threat really all over the world, I'm afraid.
As we head towards 4th of July, we just got through Flag Day. As we head towards 4th of July, it's probably a good time to remember all of the military battles that have been fought, and a good time to remember that there are still threats out there, and we have what I would describe as the world's greatest military of all time right now, and they're still standing guard for us.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, that we are the superpower, the greatest military superpower in the world today, I think without question. But we have been involved in, we do face a war of unprecedented length in Afghanistan. I mean, we have Afghanistan, of course, we started becoming involved after 9/11, but we have now 3 administrations on, we still have troops there. And so that there are men and women who are serving in Afghanistan today in a uniform who might have been toddlers at the time of 9/11. And we never had a war that lasted for, coming out on 16 years this fall.
It's such an interesting book, America Invades, and you can find out more at americainvades.com by Christopher Kelly, our guest today. Chris, good to talk to you again. Thank you.
Claire, thanks for your time.